What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Dog Benfica Podcast, episode number 426. My name is Alfredo. With me, as always, Cristiano Oliveira. Cristiano, what's happening, my brother?
What's happening, man? I was thinking about pulling an injury for this podcast, but I was told that, two would not be the limit. You could still carry on, so I decided to participate.
Nice one. I like it.
Bom dia.
Dave, what's happening, my Dave?
Nothing much. Good to be back on here. I think Alfredo can carry the both of us, Chris. The one is the minimum. We can't do it without Alfredo, but good to be back on here tonight.
Yes, sir.
Good, man. So as if you guys have already heard, and if you weren't under a rock, you know everything that went on this past, what was it, Friday that we played Belenenses
Saturday.
Sad.
Saturday, Belenenses Sad, um, and it was sad. It was sad, but I have to say that I'm not surprised. But before we get into that, let me just tell you what we have on tap for you tonight. So we'll have the recap of the Belenenses Sad uh, half a game, if you will. We'll also look ahead to the Portuguese Cup draw that gave us Porto. And we'll look ahead to the derby that happens this Friday at Stadio Luz against Sporting, as Cristiano likes to mention. So anyway, let's get right into this Be Sad. Um,
Antes
well,
disso, you gotta say hello
hello
and
to
w-
the Freddies.
and
Sorry.
welcome to all the Freddies. I mean, they're the most important part of this whole chat of the podcast. I mean,
Yeah. No, you have to keep control of that.
I try. I see we got Cesar, Sergio R, Taylor. What's up, Taylor? Bruno Rodrigues, another Sergio R. Oh, it's the same one. Was mesma coisa.
They got two Rodrigues, Sergio Rodrigues and Bruno Rodrigues.
How do you know it's Rodrigues? How do you know it's not Sergio Raul, Sergio
Esse já
Rostov,
foste, bro.
Sergio Rostovski? Lá
Esse, esse já foste. Já
então,
foste.
até já fosse.
Yeah,
Well,
já foste Rodrigues.
culpa não é minha que o gajo não se identifica the proper way. I
For the
know him as
longest
já
time, I
foste.
always know já foste. Yeah, that's right.
So that's the guy that was supposed to send us the T-shirts, right?
Oh my God,
They're
here we
coming in
go.
time for Christmas. Christmas.
The Black Friday special.
Big,
Love, love you,
big,
Sergio.
big shout out to
Carlos
to
Amado.
Cesar, who was on the other side of the planet, in Australia, mate. And Carlos is always here. Rizkovsky, Sergio Rizkovsky. Nice.
Ristovski já foste. Estás a ver?
Yeah. So Cristiano, can I go?
Yeah, Carlos, what's up? Yeah, bora, vai lá. You do what you got to do, and I'll just keep it. I'll pay attention to the chat. That's my new
Yeah.
job. Dave's gonna talk today.
I guess I could give you a timeline, right? So, during the week or towards the end of the week, we found out that that Bulninsh or Bulninsh I should call him B-Sad because I shouldn't even use the name Bulninsh. B-Sad, we found out that there was some cases, and as further tests went on, more players showed up positive for Bissad. So the whole thing it was, is this game going to get canceled at some point? Obviously, all the Benfiquistas understanding what happened last season before the Nacional game, or right when Benfica asked if the game could be postponed, the Nacional said no. So every Benfiquista said, "Oh hell no! If Besad wants to cancel the game or postpone the game, we will not stand for it. We're gonna go. We're gonna play. We're gonna be treated just like we were treated last season." So as time developed and as the situation got worse and more news came in the aspect of finding out more contagion, and on top of it, it was the new variant. So apparently, a player that had traveled to, what was it, South Africa, I want to say, came back and infected most of his teammates. So as time goes on, Thursday, Friday, the Bissad president, who, by the way, is a Dragão de Ouro. If you don't know what a Dragão de Ouro is, then look that up. Said that he wasn't asking for the game to be postponed. I mean, this is Bissad talking, right? This is not Benfica saying, well, we should ask for the game to be postponed because we don't think it's fair. No, never did Benfica mention anything like that. And I think that has to come from Besad. That request has to come from Besad. But Benfica never got any requests. Neither did the league. As a matter of fact, the president of Besad, he said, no, we're going. We're going to the game. So I think up until Saturday morning, everybody was really on edge. Is this game gonna happen? Is the game not gonna happen? So long story short, Besad lined up with 9 players, one of which was a goalie on the field, obviously, and no subs, obviously, and that's how the game started. The league didn't think that they should annul the game or postpone the game or stop the game from happening. Benfica did its job because had Benfica not shown up or Benfica refused to play, there's a good chance that Benfica was going to get penalized for it, right? I don't even think that Benfica knew how many players Besad had because the rosters, which usually, or the starting 11s, which usually come out like an hour before kickoff, I think were out, I want to say maybe 30 minutes before kickoff. And there was a lot of people saying, "Oh, if Benfica knew they were going to play against 9 players, maybe they should have played the B team, or they should have played their reserve team, or the guys that don't get a lot of playing time." Ladies and gentlemen, Benfica prepares this game the whole week. Okay, we go to game with the plans that were planned out during the week, with the training that took place during the week. Benfica goes. They need to win this game. They need to win this game because, we got a big derby coming up, and we need to keep up with the front runners. So Benfica just did what they were supposed to do. So lo and behold, game got started. Things got ugly right from the start. I think what, like 3 minutes in, there was already an own goal by Bisad, and then things just 1 minute in was inside the first minute, and then things just got out of control. Benfica obviously lined up with their strongest 11: Vlaco Dimos, Almeida, Otamendi, Vertonghen, Lazaro on one side, Grimaldo on the other, Weigl and João Mario in the middle, Rafa, Darwin behind Seth. So Benfica just did what they were supposed to do. It's not really Benfica's fault that the team only had 9 players to play, and certainly it's not Benfica's fault that the league decided not to intervene. The DGS, or Direção Geral de Saúde, also decided not to intervene because they felt that all the protocols were being followed in terms of isolating players, in terms of the testing that was going on, in terms of waiting for that last test results to come in before the game. All the protocols were taking place. So if anyone needed to intervene in this, it would be the league, and they didn't. And then we found out that the league is now opened up an investigation to wrongdoing. They're gonna investigate themselves. But anyway, look, it's a sad day for Portugal. I think that the game was news to the whole world, the whole football world at least, and obviously. Benfica doesn't come out of this smelling too good, regardless of whether or not they did everything by the book and everything that was asked of them. So definitely not a good look worldwide. But as Benfiquistas, I think, and especially for me, I think that Benfica did what they were supposed to do. Cristiano, you and I were talking about it before the game took place, and I told you at first I didn't want the game to be postponed or delayed because of what happened last season. But then I'm thinking, well, what if all of a sudden we got 3, 4 players that get positive, that pick up COVID, and now all of a sudden we got a problem in our own squad?
All valid points by you, Alfredo. Capitan, we're all used to all the valid points coming out of your mouth here on the podcast, and Dave's, but not so much mine. That being said, um, this is a whole bunch of yada 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 white noise. That's what it sounds like to me. I understand all the reasons as to why Benfica should have been, been very careful regarding this game. But at the end of the day, look, the one that's the biggest Mickey Mouse in this whole situation is the league. The league needed to step in, but at the same time, I totally understand they have set a precedent from last season when that game, as you mentioned before, when Benfica had a bunch of players infected against Nacional, and they said no, the game must go on. And so, whether you like the decision or not, I think that's based on what they were making these decisions on. Because if they decided to postpone this game, it would have seemed as if they went against Benfica last year and they're favoring Bissau this year. Not the easiest of decisions, but then again, that's what these guys get paid the big bucks for. That's what these leaders of these leagues are put in these positions to do, which is make the tough decisions. And at the end of the day, the least culprit in this whole situation is Benfica by a wide margin. And anyone attacking Benfica is absolutely clueless. They're doing it out of spite. They're doing it because they hate Sport Lisboa Benfica. All the blame needs to absolutely be put on the league, absolutely be put on Guimarães. You can't tell me that a professional soccer team in the first division, we're not talking about professional soccer team in third division, we're talking about first division, call it what you want, at the very worst, the sixth, ranked campeonato in all of Europe. You're telling me that such team cannot field 11 players? You're telling me that such team cannot go to their B team, to their U23 team, to the U19 team, and find an additional 4 or 5 kids? Are you telling me that? It makes absolutely no sense. I think they knew very well what they were doing. They understood if they went to the B team and the juniors and they fielded the 11 with another 4 guys on the bench, the headline would have just been, Portuguese team had to play with their B team due to COVID. Right? And it would have been like, yeah, okay, fine. Nobody probably would even clicked on that story.
There would be no headline.
Exactly. But then the minute you're playing with 2 goalkeepers, yada, yada, yada. And then in Portugal, it seems as if anything that has Benfica involved is an opportunity for everyone and their mother to attack. And that's exactly what they did here. They made a meal out of this. They knew what they were doing. And I don't feel bad for them at all. I'll let Dave speak.
What am I supposed to add on to that, Chris? You said that nobody should be attacking Benfica, but I know there's people already in the chat saying Sporting fans, Porto fans, and they said that Benfica should have kind of let the foot off the gas and not made it 7-0 at halftime. But really, what was Benfica supposed to do? Like Alfredo said, if Benfica is not playing the match or making a mockery of it as well, then we're in the position of losing points. Overall, it was a dark time in Portuguese football, like a lot of people have mentioned. But really, Benfica, and I share the same sentiments as well. Nobody was there for Benfica last season when we had our COVID outbreak, so I was on board with not rescheduling this game, and still am not on board with rescheduling this game. If B-Sad didn't have the amount of players to play it, 3-0 forfeit, get the 3 points, but none of this rescheduling the match and having the match start over from what the players are proposing now or requesting, because you know what, it's a global pandemic, and if you didn't have the players, you count it as a forfeit, 3-0.
Look, I'm glad you mentioned what you mentioned before, and Alfred, I'm sorry to cut in, but I wanted to clarify something. I mentioned yesterday on my little segment, the little BS chat we had on Spaces yesterday, myself and Bruno. And I mentioned it then, and I'll mention it again now. I think the only criticism I really, and I think it's being unfair, but again, if you had to put criticism, you had to criticize anything on Benfica's side, I think the only thing that I can't really defend to a certain extent is, I guess Benfica could have let their foot off the pedal. I think if Benfica wanted to come out of this looking pretty, they score 3 goals and then they pack it in. Because at the end of the day, for forfeit, that's the result. It's still a 3-0 result. I think you do that, and then you just, you know what, you call it good night. And so if you want to criticize that part of it, I can't kill you. And I kind of understand it. So at the same time, look, they did what they had to do. As Alfredo mentioned, they prepared this whole week. They're very well aware that Last year, nobody felt bad for them, right? And so they did what they had to do. At the end of the day, I think themselves feel the same way I just mentioned, the same way I do, and and what I mentioned just a few minutes ago, which was these guys have players. They chose not to call the players up, so it's on them. But I guess if there was some criticism, that would be it.
I think the funniest thing that I've heard, and I think that Taylor also says here, he says my cousin is a Sporting fan and he thought Benfica should have matched the amount of players on the field, and that is the most ridiculous thing, right? That's Sporting fans trying to justify something that they know Benfica is not at blame for, right? So wait, so what is this, like a youth soccer game that coaches take out a couple players so they can match up the other team that showed up because two other kids can't find the field. That happens to me all the time when I ref youth soccer. This is professional ball. There's a
Alfredo,
lot of money at stake here.
what do I always say on this podcast? It's
You say a
big
lot of
boys.
things.
It's big boy football. Put on your big boy pants and go out there. If you can't feel the team, forfeit and pay the 10,000. The 10,000. Poor 10,000. Poor him with the $10 fine that the league would would hand you for not fielding it full. Come on, dude. At the end, it's big boy soccer. You're not going to take out players. Bro, this is not little, as you stated, offer. It's not little kid soccer. At the end of the day, there's a lot at stake. There are coaching careers at stake. There are player careers at stake. There's championships at stake. Anybody else now talking this gibberish is exactly that. Sporting last season or the year before, whatever it was, when this whole stuff started in 2020, they played against Vitória Setúbal that had like 16 players with the flu or whatever it may. This is before COVID, so we don't know if they had COVID yet or not. But at the end of the day, they played against a team that was down a shitload of players due to some type of cold or flu or whatever, and they still went out there and beat them 3-1. Ain't nobody cry about it.
Yeah. Não, and Bruno Rodrigues brings up a good point here. Para mim foi tudo planeado para infectar os jogadores do Benfica para perder jogadores para os próximos jogos. So he says, for me, it was all planned to infect Benfica players so Benfica could lose players for the following. Anything is possible. After all, this guy's a Dragão de Ouro. He says that Porto is above all for him. I'm talking about the president of Besad. So who knows? Who knows what was behind it? There's no logic to the decision that he made in not asking the league to cancel the game, understanding that he wasn't going to have enough players. And Cristiano, I do understand your point. He said he had 38 players available or 38 players registered, that he was going to scrounge up enough players to be able to play. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And from what I understand, and I read, there was three players,
Three or
that,
four
three or
that
four that
wanted to
were
play.
that wanted to play, and he forbade them to play.
Mhm.
So look, there's a whole big story behind it. I hope the league gets to the bottom of it. But here's the thing, man. Knowing what we know about this league and what a joke and Mickey Mouse leadership we have in this league. Uh, it doesn't surprise me. It really did not surprise me that they allowed this game to play.
I think it's
Of-
important to mention as well, Alfredo, that Benfica, because you brought up a valid point. I don't think they're that malicious. I don't think they would go that far to try to plan this on purpose to infect Benfica players. I'm gonna give them the benefit of that. I think this is all to get attention and yada yada yada, but I don't think was with the intention of infecting anybody. That being said, it's important to mention that Benfica, I believe it was yesterday, maybe today. Dave, you guys probably know. Every single one of the players was tested, and all of them came back negative. So it's important to state that as well, just to remind everyone that's listening and didn't know that the team was tested. So that's good
yeah.
news on that front.
Yeah, no infections. Apparently, Sporting played against Tondela, who had four of their starters with COVID. Were out with COVID, and their goalie, the goalie that played in the game, tested positive after the game. Tondela's goalie. So look, again, we're looks like we're having another resurgence here on COVID. All the safety measures need to be followed and followed to a T. And look, I think that Benfica kind of is involved in this, not by their own volition. if you will.
No, I'll tell you, if it was Sporting and Porto involved in this, I'd be sitting back, my feet up, and just, popping a popcorn and drinking some cold ones. I'd be enjoying this. But due to the fact that it's Benfica and they look for any little thing to blame Benfica for everything, it's a little bit annoying. Now, the league is an absolute joke. This is the message. This is the image that we put out to the rest of the world. The league needs to be better. Rather than blame the teams, blame yourself. You're the leaders in the house. You the guys have to make the final decision. At the end of the day, if Benfica, let's just say we go along with our rivals and say that Benfica had a lot more to do with this than what we're making it out to be, letting everyone out to know, letting it out that we know about. If it is in fact true that Benfica's got that much power, well, then the league is wrong too. No club should have that much power over the league. The league should be making the best decisions for the league, regardless of what Benfica thinks, regardless of what Porto thinks, regardless of what Visa thinks. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, this is what league leaders do. They have to make the tough decisions, regardless of what everyone else thinks. Sometimes we don't think the decision is the right decision, but at the end of the day, if the decisions are made in the best regards of everyone else involved, and the safety protocols, the whole nine, it is what it is. You have to eat it. But as I mentioned before, they set that precedent last year with Nacional. This league did not step in, and they were wrong then. It doesn't mean that they couldn't have corrected the wrong before. But rather than correct things and implement rules and put rules in place, and so everyone around the world, and obviously the teams in Portugal at the end of the day, is the most important thing, that everyone understands what's going on, what's going to happen, what's not going to happen. If this happens, if that doesn't happen, they don't have any of these protocols in place. They're an absolute freaking joke. And the fact that they're trying to blame the clubs. And the clubs are now pushing back and blaming them. And now they're opening up an own investigation on themselves. It's just all like, we're going to do a whole bunch of nothing, but we got to seem like we're doing something. So, people, look, Alfredo, when somebody's looking at us, looks like we're talking, but we're not saying nothing at the end of the day. That's what it's about. It's an absolute freaking joke. The league
I don't know
needs to be
I don't
better.
know if it makes a difference, but I heard the federation is going to be launching the investigation on the league. Whether makes a difference or not, but I heard it was the federation that was going to be running the investigation, not the league themselves.
Yeah, look, there's definitely something wrong with the pictures. So, but look, I think that Benfica has to feel confident that they did everything that they were supposed to, and nothing that they weren't supposed to. Team showed up as scheduled. The team came out of the locker room for warm ups. Team came out on the field on time in the first half and the second half, right? Whatever little time there was. But Benfica did everything that was supposed to, abided by the rules of the league. If there was anything that needed to be done here, would have been by the league. Second half, we had like a 10-minute delay for the second half. Then only 7 players.
Seven
Yeah.
came out, 2 stayed in the locker room because obviously, as you know, Alfredo, you're a referee. You can play with a minimum of 7. And then miraculously, as soon as the referee blew the whistle, a guy pulled a muscle before even taking a step. And then
No,
obviously
he
they had
hit the
four.
ball long and he pulled.
Oh, did he? I wasn't even paying attention.
Look, I think that, as Cristiano mentioned, I think the only thing that we could look at Benfica here is perhaps the fact that they ran up the score. But like, this is big boy soccer. This is professional soccer. But here's the thing: when you see the posture and the behavior of JJ during that first half, he basically just sat on a bench, crossed his legs, crossed his arms, and just like, we're just here because the league is making us be here.
Bro.
And if there's anything, it's probably maybe Benfica shouldn't have celebrated the first couple goals with the exuberance that they did. That's the only thing that I could probably point at this Benfica.
Darwin said, I'm going to get my rocks off on this. He's going to the camera like, he was excited. I mean, I stated this I mentioned this on Twitter. I'll mention it here on the podcast. We know for a fact, if we ever play against 9 men, Darwin's the guy to go to because he is dominant against 9.
He was padding the stats for sure on that game. And Seferovic trying to get his confidence back after some midweek misses in the Champions League too. Hey, but go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I didn't pay any attention to this game leading up to the game until then. Obviously, when the COVID stuff came out, the only thing I was worried about was like, all right, is there going to be a game? Is there not going to be a game? So I didn't follow any of this leading up to the game. Even the pregame, I just basically turned on the game as soon as it started. That being said, I had no idea what this president is. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And so I see them walking off the field, and this guy's in tears. This guy's crying. You talking about an actor? That dude, not only should he win the Dragão de Ouro once again, he should win the Portuguese Oscars, the what is it, the Oscars, the
Golden Globes.
Gold. Essa merda toda.
Globes de Ouro.
My man deserves it all. Okay. The Emmys, that's what I was looking for. The Emmys, Oscars, o Antonios, whatever. He needs all of them. That dude had me fooled because I'm like, damn, I feel bad for this dude. But then it struck me. Then I started thinking, like, you mean to tell me this dude really couldn't find 4 June? I know. If you found me in the parking lot with a gut in the whole nine, I'll be like, what? I'll risk a pulled hammy. I'm down. You telling me if you tell him if you call up 6 U19 players and you tell them, look, you have an opportunity here. Look, there's the COVID scare, yada yada yada, but look, you're gonna play against Sporting Benfica. I mean, all those kids will line up. They'd run to the stadium. Forget about warming up. They'd be sweating. They'd break into a sweat by the time they get to that stadium from Belém. You telling me they couldn't get any more guys there? Come on, dude. It was an absolute joke. The league is a joke. That dude, once I found out he was some Dragão de Ouro recipient, I knew he was making a meal out of this. And I thought it was just an embarrassment. I thought it was a very bad image to portray to the rest of European football, not just European football, but the rest of the world watching this. And this is a joke. It is an absolute embarrassment. And everyone that had their hand in this decision, that had their hand in whatever the hell happened on Saturday, should get fired, should step down. I mean, Stinho Vergonha na cara, they will step down. But they don't. And that's what we've seen in Portugal. I mean, this is from politics to football. We've seen decisions that you and I will never understand. People caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and somehow, some way, they get away with a slap on the wrist and toco disco e virou mesmo.
Virou disco e tocou mesmo.
He says,
No, Cesar brings up a great point. This is a play to take pressure out of Porto. They're being investigated for money laundering and fixing games. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing new there. But here's the thing. How do we know that this Dragão de Ouro didn't call Pinto Costa and say, do we play or don't we play? And Pinto Costa saying, that's going to cause an impact. It's going to take the attention away from the investigation that they have. Play. We don't know.
all I know is that, you know, when you do the search engine and you check out in your area the most searched thing in your, I know that flights to Vigo is the number one search thing in Porto, the number one search on the end of Google's, essa merda toda in Porto. I heard that. Yeah.
So look, it is what it is. The game apparently is finished because all the tables that I've seen count that game as being completed. So Benfica got the 3 points, 7-0 was the score. I mean, I don't know if that's even worth remembering that, but to me, the minute that the game was started, it was never going to be an even match for Benfica. So.
Bro, it would have been an even match if they had 19 healthy players. Come on, who are you joking? Who are you kidding?
But the thing is that I can't help but to feel sad that Benfica was actually tied to one of the darkest periods or darkest moments, I should say, of Portuguese football.
You know how it is. If you wanna make a stand and you wanna bring attention to something, whether rightfully or wrongfully, right? You do it against the biggest bad boy in the yard, and that's Benfica.
Yeah. Now, Besad in the Dragão de Ouro want the game to be replayed. Why? You could replay it. Replay the second half.
Well, did in Porto Estoril? Wasn't it replayed? Started from the second half 8 months later.
8 months
when everybody
later.
was, no, it was like 3 months, but whatever. There's a league rule, like within 30 days, they played whenever the hell they wanted, and then they wound up winning that game 3-1 or whatever. And by the way, at halftime, well, that was a long ass 3-month halftime, but prior to that second half, Porto repaid Estoril a $700,000 debt that they had from I don't know how many years previous. So hey, I don't know, but we've seen funny things happen in Portuguese football. So if they want to kick it off from the 46th minute, you know what they do? The referee throws the ball up in the air because you said that guy kicked it and then he pulled a muscle and then they blew. So just throw it up in the air like bolo out. And bora, set the zero, resume. But how does it work? Are they going to have to use substitutes to put? Because now they're down to six. So that means they need five guys. Does that count as substitutions? How does that work? I'm
I
afraid
don't know. I don't know. That game will not be replayed, and if Benfica allows that game to be replayed, then they're dummies. Bunch
throughout
of
that
dummies.
throughout the whole 45 minutes of that first half, a couple of my Lagarto friends, and I just kept laughing like wankers, wankers, wah, wah. They kept texting me, "This is bullshit. This should not be happening." Now imagine Porto, Benfica, and Sporting all finish tied at the end of the year, and Benfica wins on goal differential because they scored 14 today. Oh my god! I'm like, dude, are you really like that's your concern right now? And I said, dude, I trust me. Don't worry. Benfica will not be finished out with Sporting at the end of the year, bro. You don't have to worry about that. But dude, you don't understand the crowd. I mean, I had to wear boots, like those boots that go all the way up to your brillas, right? Because there's so much churro, there's so many tears, so much water. I was in a flood. I was walking around with them big ass rubber ducky boots.
It's a shame. Anyway,
It's a shame.
it
Hey, look, Blanco
really is,
Demos.
man.
Blanco Demos told you he's the goalie for Benfica. Kept another clean sheet. Phenomenal.
It's really a shame. And somebody was saying that Seth and Darwin need all the practice that they can get. Anyway, turning our attention now to the Portuguese Cup draw. That happened what on Friday? Yeah, that happened on Friday. Benfica drew Porto, and Benfica will go to the Dragão on the 23rd of next month, December. Well, when you listen to this, it will be tomorrow, which is December.
Well,
December
unless
3rd.
the Freds who are watching and listening right now, thank you
Yeah,
very much once again.
Cesar is already the December for him.
Now, Cesar is like in January over there in Australia. They're so far ahead of us.
So anyway,
Cesar's so far ahead of us. He's ready for the replay. He's getting ready for the replay.
yeah, drew Porto, and coincidentally, the week after that game, we also go to the Dragão for the league. So two back-to-back double-header play with Porto.
So we drew the 23rd. When's the second match? Isn't it
The
7 days
30th.
prior? Oh, it is. It's after. So
It's after.
it's gonna be a bang. New Year's bang,
Bang, bang,
bang. You
bang,
know,
bang, chicka boom.
oh, bums bit, bums bit. It's gonna be interesting.
Cristiano, how interesting. What do because it'll be a crucial moment in time for Benfica, obviously, because of the championship, but also there's a good chance if we lose the game, not a good chance, but if we lose the game, we'll be out of the Portuguese Cup, and that's pretty early.
Yeah, and obviously every time we go out to the Dragão, I don't know what it is. We were intimidated, shit our pants. They hang guys from the bridge, and we're easily intimidated. Hopefully, you know, uh, with Otamendi there, and these guys, and if, I don't even know. We need to play like men. We need to show up. I know last season we went in there. Otamendi was kind of going back and forth to some of their players and stuff like that. We need that attitude. Um, I know Porto fans criticizes very much for being ecstatic. I should say over a draw, yada yada. But it wasn't. I don't think any of us were ecstatic over the draw. We're ecstatic at the way that Benfica stepped up and battled these guys face to face, as opposed to what we've seen. I think in one of the games, I don't know if it was that game as well, where Darwin kind of goes for a ball with Pep and he gets up and he's picking Pep up and stuff like. We don't want any of that, man. This is obviously with all the problems going on in the world today, we shouldn't use these terms, the war, right? There's a war on the field because there's actually real wars going on around the world. So it's a term that I like to use loosely, you know what I mean? Because again, we have to put things into perspective. But at least for those 90 minutes on that field, it is a war between 11 guys on each side, and Benfica absolutely have to change this culture, this mindset every time we go in there that we're underdogs and we're intimidated. And look, what better way to go there twice in a week, finish out the year, right before all the fireworks go off, and obviously that's the second game. We'll worry about that one after, but I just think that Benfica has to change that chip, and we'll see. I mean, there's much more important games before that. We play a very important game this Friday against Sporting. who's already crying. I don't know. They've been crying that nonstop ever since. And so they'll be missing a couple of key players. Palhinha pulled a hammy or something, so he'll be missing that. That's a big miss. Even though last season we all saw what happened with the yellow cards. He played against us. I don't even know why he played, and they didn't need him in that one game. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting times. Every time we play our rivals, man, it's exciting. We all get the goosebumps. We get the nerves, the butterflies, and so we just want to put this dark chapter behind us. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, the league or the Federação Portuguesa, they do the right thing, Alfredo and Dave, and we'll get some type of real investigation, some real punishment. 300 euro punishment. I will announce
354 cents. 300 euros and 54
cents. Yeah. But we'll see what happens.
There's nothing going to come out of these investigations for like 2-3 years. You know that when BSAT is already relegated to second or third division, and then the investigation is going to become complete. This is how it is. Remember, like Tarap got his
Samadi's
like
8 years later. He got his punishment. Yeah, stuff like that. And it's funny. The week that Otavio got COVID, he miraculously had to service. They came down with a punishment that week. He's gonna miss next 2 games. What do you? I mean, look, it's we love Portugal.
Benfica comanda tudo. Dave, Derby, first game out of 7 games that Benfica will have to play in January. I mean, in December, very busy month of December. Give some stats on this Sporting game.
Sporting currently tied with Porto with 32 points from 10 wins, 2 draws this season. It's going to be a showdown between the league's top offense, Benfica, with 34 goals scored, and the league's top defense, with Sporting only conceding 4 goals all season. Historically, in 311 official meetings, 136 wins, 65 draws, 110 defeats. The last 10 meetings between the two clubs, 6 wins, 2 draws, and 2 defeats for Benfica. And the last time Sporting has beaten Benfica at the Luge for league competition was back in October 2015. And since the new Estadio de Luz is open, Benfica's record at home against Sporting is 13 wins, 6 draws, and 3 defeats. So kind of the opposite of how Chris is talking, how we've got that inferiority when we go up to Porto. We kind of have Sporting's number in recent history.
And JJ's numbers against Sporting are ridiculous as well. I don't know if you got those numbers in front of you, but I know he's got crazy stats. Now, the question I got before Alfredo goes, takes off, which is, you mentioned Benfica leads the league in goals and best defense. Now, I don't know if you guys know, because I don't know. Did this practice against Belenenses, did the final scoreline of 7-0, was that applied to the stands, or did they get the 3-0 forfeit? I don't know about it, so I'm asking you guys.
Right now, it's currently at 7-0, and the 7 goals for that brings it up to 34 goals scored.
Yeah. Artur Soares Diaz is the referee that's been named for this game already. We already know.
That's simple, mesmo.
Well, he's
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying,
considered one of the top guys.
I had a Sportingista complain already. Oh, pa, he gave Sporting last year in a game against Benfica 2 yellow cards in 18 minutes. I said, oh, okay. Now I don't remember. Oh, but it was against. I don't remember what happened to Sporting. I care less about Sporting. But I said, but look, the question I have for you is, were those 2 fouls yellow card worthy? I don't care if the guy gives Benfica 10 yellow cards. If they're all worth it, then it is what it is. That's what I want to know. Well, it's subjective. Okay, here we go. So that's Sportingistas already. The game hasn't even been played yet, but they're already crying. That's what they do.
Yeah, they're already crying that they didn't get the tickets, and Benfica's already come out and said that the reason why they didn't get the tickets faster is because their ticketing system needed to be adjusted. So it starts. I mean, it's going to be Wednesday tomorrow. Expect things to heat up. But here's the question, and I'll ask you, Dave, first. And I know that's early in a championship, but what do you think? What do you think of a Benfica win in this game, man?
I'm confident. Even last season, I know we kind of split the decisions: the 1-0 defeat at the Avalad and the 4-3 or victory at the game of the end of the season. That didn't mean anything. I'm confident with how this Benfica team is going into this match. Not to say that this is a Sporting that is on the weekend end, even with Paulinho out. I think they're still a strong match, but I think we have that mental edge, if you want to call it, over this Sporting. Just like Porto kind of has our numbers as of late, I think Benfica has Sporting's number, and I think we take the full 3 points on Friday.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that you know, a win for sure would set some kind of a message here, right? Because both Sporting have both Sporting and Porto have been consistent into this part of the season. But I think that Benfica has been a little bit inconsistent, and I think that being in third place currently, I think that you need to kind of make a point with this game. Yes, I think that what Sergio mentions that Palhinha is a big loss for Sporting, but I think Sporting has enough talent to pull this one out. I just think that Benfica, if position by position, I think they have a much better team than Sporting on paper. But we need to put it on the field. Cristiano, what do you think, man? What do you think about this game?
But it's gonna be one of those games we see every time between these two big Portuguese clubs, and teams are gonna go at each other. Obviously, Sporting has been playing well of late. Benfica's got the pressure of playing at home. Sporting's defending champion. Benfica has to come get the victory. You bring it back Ruben Amorim to Estádio da Luz. All that nonsense going back and forth about him being Benfiquista. If he's not Benfiquista, I think the guy's proved already for once and for all that he's a Sportingista and he's got Sporting's best interest at heart. JJ is also an interesting character. As we know, in these big games, he likes to invent. We hope that he doesn't. I think due to the fact that Benfica is playing at home, they're missing Palhinha, a very important player in the midfield for them. Benfica coming off a very impressive 7-0 victory. The confidence is flying high. I think I think Benfica are favorites at home, and I expect Benfica to come away with a victory here.
Yeah, no, I think that I think you hit the nail on the head. I think playing at home, you have to be considered favorites, regardless of where you stand on the table. And we all know that derbies you could usually throw away the moments of form because a derby is a derby. There's always a different motivation to play derbies, and it's perhaps the easiest week for coaches in terms of motivation are these derby these weeks on the run up to the Derby. So, look, I expect a Benfica win. That's where we got to be.
Me too. Me too. Me too. I want a nice performance for Benfica. I want to be a nice, clean game. I don't want to have any of these referee controversies. But you know how Portugal how it is, man. If Benfica wins, Sporting's gonna cry. If Sporting wins, Benfica's gonna cry. I'm just so tired of all this nonsense going on in Portugal, all off the field. I think for the most majority of the time, the story's always off the field. It's always, all this BS that goes. I mean, I shouldn't say off the field because refereeing decisions are on the field. You know what I'm talking about. But I mean, in terms of how the teams play, I want them to be, commanding victory by Benfica. Play at home, play with authority, come out there, play with that garra that we love to see. At the end of the day, it's your house. You have to defend your turf. And Sporting, we should let them know that they got lucky with that championship last year. Coisa vamos dar.
They're coming off a very important win against Dortmund
Yeah, they qualified.
the round of 16 in the Champions League.
Knockout.
They're very happy and flying high. Sporting is.
All the sharks are like this already. Sporting. Now, but look, credit to them. They did what they had to do. Not a lot of people expected them to come away and get out of the group stage. I mean, call it what you want. The fact is, they lost their first two games, and since that, they've turned it around. They got shellacked by Ajax, if you guys remember, and they lost to Dortmund. And ever since then, I think they've done the impossible. I don't think any of us, especially after losing those first two games, any of us, Sportingistas included, I don't think anybody expected them to come out of the group. So credit to them. Ruben Amorim has this team playing, and with a lot of confidence. We've seen that he knows how to make adjustments when the team needs it, and obviously that's the concerning part going into this game. But at the same time, I think Benfica do have a team that's got a little bit more consistency this year than we did last year. João Mario's brought a little stability in the midfield. Otamendi's another year, another more leadership. We'll be concerned, obviously, with who will be that third center back. Will JJ play the 4-4-2? Will he play the three center backs at the back? And that's what I mentioned before about JJ usually likes to invent things in these games. So it is a concern. Will we really go back to Andre Almeida? I mean, he did start at the
Yes.
Camp Nou. So Andre Almeida is your guy. Andre Almeida is the guy that's starting this weekend. So, vamos ver. I mean, look, it's anytime Benfica plays, I'm excited. I'm excited for this game. I really am. I think we need to come away with a convincing victory. But at the end of the day, any type of victory against Sporting, I think, will be enough to turn the page and get past this past week, because it's been absolute nonsense off the field with what's going on with this game. And then obviously the investigations going up north, and everyone trying to muffle all that. So I just look, let's talk about football, and let's get a nice victory here for Benfica so we could concentrate on that.
And here's the thing, man. And obviously, if you follow Benfica on a regular like we do, you know everything that's been going on in these past 3 4 weeks, right? At first there was that whole blowout with Otamendi, then there's this, then there's that. Uh, all of this is really the media trying to split up Benfica. And if there's a time where Benfiquistas need to unite and put aside their differences to protect the club in the way that we know how to, now is that time, right? We don't need, regardless of whether you're against Rui Costa or this or that, or if you knew everything that was going on with Vieira, at this time you need to put that aside. You need to put the Rui Costa aside. You need to put Vieira aside. You need to put McDonald's man aside. You need to put all of that aside, and you need to support the club, and you need to unite around the club and really be very active in the social media when there's an attack by the comunicação social or the media outlets on Benfica. You kind of need to question that, and you got to think about where's this coming from and what intent is this piece of news being put out there. That is the biggest thing right now that Benfica needs. Benfica needs their fans to be united. Benfica needs their fan base to not have any questions about what's going on and about all the work that's being done. We need to unite around this team because I got to tell you, this month of December is going to be a very, very tough month for Benfica. 2 games against Porto, 1 game against Sporting. You got Kiev, which comes up on Wednesday, a week from tomorrow as we record this, which is an extremely important game for Benfica. If Benfica is to have any aspirations to continue in the Champions League, we need to beat Kiev. But all of this comes at a time, at a very critical juncture in the season. So we need to be behind Benfica and supporting this team, man. Regardless of whether you like the coach, regardless of whether you like Rui Costa or you dislike him, you need to support the team. It's that simple.
I was just reading the comments here, and I saw a comment by Sergio Jafost where he mentions this is, where is it at? First full Clásico, first full house Clásico / Derby at the Luz since the pandemic started. The Luz is going to be hopping. Our fans are going to bring the heat. Look, yes, as of right now. But with the current situation in Portugal, with the pandemic, starting to flare up a little bit more, and these cases popping up all across the country, uh, we'll just be hopeful that there's a game on Friday. So, look, for our sake, the house will be packed and everyone will still be allowed in, but fingers crossed.
I don't want to rain on that parade, but P Soccer just posted a clip here from Ebola saying that Benfica now only expecting 20 to 30,000 due to new COVID protocols being
Yeah,
put in place.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. As of December 1st, the new rules by the government is that in order to attend a football match, you will not only need your vaccine card, right? So you need to be vaccinated, but you also need a negative test to get into the stadium. So now it's a double card, right? So vaccine and negative test. So obviously that's probably going to push a lot of people away from doing that. Vaccine tests cost money. There's no one out there giving tests for free in Portugal. Tests cost money. And Chris, what do we pay before we went to the Munich game? Was it $24 for the test that we did?
I didn't
Dollars
go.
or
Somewhere in there, right?
euros?
I didn't go to that
Euros.
game. I don't know what you're talking about. You got Braga games I went to.
Oh yeah,
You're
yeah, that Braga
you
game.
understood, you understood lixado. I don't know. And at the time, I wasn't doing. There was no COVID, so
Caralho.
don't
No,
play
it was
contigo.
$25. It was
You're asking
25 euros.
me. I don't.
It was 25 euros that I paid to get that test. I think my dad told me that he could get tests at 10 euros. But still, 10 euros is 10 euros, man. 10 euros is could be a meal, could be a fibra, small.
It's beers
So,
for the boys at Mega Bar before the game there.
right. So, obviously, with those rules now being into effect, it's going to push away some people or going to detract some people from going to the game, and they'll just watch it at home on BTV. So, what else is out there that we could say? Oh, the B team, the B team in Estrela da Amadora. That's another fiasco there. That they wanted to. Estrela da Amadora wants to process the linesman because the linesman apparently, after being insulted for most of the game, turned around and told somebody to go fuck off. So now they want to process the linesman because he acted unprofessionally.
Uh, When if you abuse them, they're allowed to abuse you too verbally, are they not?
Well, you're not. I mean, you're not
You're not.
supposed to.
You're not supposed. So what I seen, I saw some noise about that, but I didn't.
But
Obviously, I
there's a
didn't.
couple other things that went on in that game that they're complaining about. But that just struck me as super funny. That the referee just turned around and told them to go fuck off, and so they're all mad and they're going to process the referee. Apparently, there was a couple things going on in Estrela da Amadora, who, by the way, has just come up from the third league, is clamoring to have VAR on the second league. So go figure that one out. But yeah, apparently something went on, and Benfica benefited from referees' calls, and you know how it is. Benfica is always the one. We're the owners of all of this. Benfica is, and we control everything. So it's fashionable to hate on Benfica. You guys know that. Anyway, Cristiano, what do you got? What else you got before we go?
Nothing. But I'm all. I don't know. This whole game, this whole situation, boy, it took some of the enthusiasm away. Um, from talking about all this stuff because there's just so much noise in Portugal, and it's mostly it's obviously this happened to be on the field, but all these accusations and all these ongoing searches and investigations and you know finger pointing and you did this, I did this, and but it's just in Portugal rather than speaking the truth, people first see what club is involved and if it's a club that they like they don't like and then they based on the color then they'll decide to defend their attack and it's getting tiresome. As you know, Alfredo and Dave, I speak to a lot of different people in American media and world media, and it's just like every time these people are reaching out to me, it's always something to mock the Portuguese league or Benfica or something like that. And it just so happens, as we stated before, so happens that Benfica is involved in this once again. And look, we're gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't make any sense as to why Benfica would be involved in any of this BS. But in Portugal, man, you just never know. You never know what to believe, and it's just tiresome. Like, can we just keep it on the field? Can we talk about the big matchup that we're talking about? Benfica and Sporting, the crosstown rivals. It's going to be a big game. It's a huge derby. That's what we should be talking about. You know,
This
how big of a miss is Palinha gonna be? Is Darwin gonna come in and you know and play with that same confidence? Is JJ gonna play with three up top? Like we should be talking about that, not this stupid nonsense
yeah.
that makes me not want to talk about this, man.
To be perfectly honest, this whole news about Pinto Costa that's come out, that doesn't surprise me. We've known that this has been going on. There's a reason why Pinto Costa and Luis Felipe Vieira met before this whole thing went down, because Luis Felipe Vieira probably said, "Hey, just so you know, after me, they're coming for you." Anyway,
Bro, the funny thing, if you saw yesterday's cover, he says, "Vão ver que eu sou um gajo sério," and I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Is it gonna be Seferovic plus 10 for the Sporting game? I know JJ
that's a
made
good
that
question, Dave.
emphasis
That's an excellent question.
Sverovic will start. Sverovic will start tomorrow. Not tomorrow. I'm sorry. On
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, that's a good
Same
question, man.
same lineup as the B side game then is what we're going with.
Yeah, I would say so.
What was
I
the
would
B
say
side game? I don't.
so.
I know the four.
André
I know the
Almeida,
four at the
Otamendi,
back.
Vertonghen,
Uh huh.
Lázaro Grimaldo, João Mário and Weigl, Rafa, and Darwin. No, I think Cebolinha will get the nod instead of Darwin, but I think Seferovic will be up front.
But if he plays with Sverovic, he's gonna have to play with the three up top. That's
Not
what he's playing now.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
That's what he's playing now. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. He's gonna play with the
You
three
well,
four
you could,
three.
you'll play with Everton and Rafa on the sides. I think that Darwin would be good to bring in halfway through the second half. Pocaval. Let the cavallo loose.
Hey, Boris, welcome to the chat, bro. Boris is a big fan of Porto.
No, he's not.
He's not. Oh, I don't know. But yeah. Look, I just think that due to what we saw at the Camp Nou the other day, I think JJ he's got a soft spot for Fedovic. I think JJ is going to put him in. That's how you bring him back. That's how you get his confidence back. You saw the guy, he almost missed that, but he shoots that penalty a little bit lower. The goalkeeper gets the side, and you can tell even after he shot, like, oh, he thought, you know what I mean? He wasn't the most confident. I'll give him credit though. He wasn't celebrating goals like Darwin. Darwin's a straight stone killer. It just sucks that when he gets in front of the goal, instead of be killing, the only thing he's killing is the fans behind the net. Um, yeah, I think Svedovic starts. I think he's gonna try to give him a huge confidence booster.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you on that. I think that Darwin's going to be deployed as a secret weapon in the second half, so he could run all over that Sporting defense. That's what I think. I think
Second,
that second half. I think that right now you got to go with the odd hand. The odd hand is Everton, and Rafa, despite Rafa hitting last game, didn't play all that well. But certainly these players are going to be rested, ready to go. I think that Rafa and Everton, you gotta keep Everton on there because he's heating up. But Seferovic, I wouldn't put it past JJ if he started Seferovic. So
Svedovic and Paulinho on the field. Who you put your money on? Who you put your money on to miss more opportunities?
that's a
Porto's
good
lucky
one.
they got rid of their own Seferovic with Merega last season because those three of them
Marega, Tiquinho Soares.
they had the three stooges right there, Larry, Curly, Mo between the three of them.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, that is all that we got for this week. Next week we'll be back. We'll recap the derby. We'll look ahead to Kiev and Benfica's next
When is we play Kiev on Wednesday, right?
Kiev on Wednesday. So
Oh,
we'll
so we
be
can do the
we'll be
podcast
here
on Tuesday.
before the Wednesday game. Thanks to all the Freddies that were on the chat. Um, there's too many of you for me to
Yeah,
mention the names.
grazie.
Nah,
Yes.
thanks a lot, man. Thanks for keeping us company. Thanks for keeping us entertained. Um, you know,
Yeah,
So
you guys stay safe, protect yourselves and your family. We want to enjoy many Benfica titles. And look, talking about titles, just before we go, there'd be a huge investigation, or not an investigation, whatever the hell you want to call it, decision coming up in January. Sporting can win 3 titles or 4 titles in a single day.
Yeah,
Uh,
that,
we'll talk about that
that's
when it
gonna
hits.
that's gonna make the news also.
That's
But
gonna
wait, I
get.
think Benfica might be due for some championships if
No,
that's
they're the
if they're
opposite.
counting.
They're the opposite. No, Porto's do 3, Sporting 4, Benfica 0.
Oh,
I think they lose 3 from me and Hugo today. We're actually talking about. We're doing our research. I think they lose 3 from. If you go to Benfica's Wikipedia and you'll see they have 37 league titles and they have 3 Campeonatos Portugal, whatever the hell it's called. And so those same years are the years that Benfica won the league title out of 37, Porto and Sporting say they won those years. So what happens is they won those other campeonatos, the Campeonato Portugal or whatever it's called. So Benfica's got 3 of those titles. So they're gonna lose 3 from up top, and that honor on
They're
the
gonna break
Wikipedia
even.
is gonna disappear. They're gonna break even, and the other clubs are gonna get 3 and 4. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if you look at Sport, you go to their website, they already have 23 in parentheses over there, whatever. They already have, you know, uh 23 on the bus. If you look at the bus, they got 23 titles.
they're all over their stadium too.
So they're the only ones that win a title on the field once every 20 years, but yet it counts as 4. So
It's like leap year.
they're like dog years or whatever. Is it dog year, leap year? Yeah, it's to leap year. He says.
All right, everyone, take care. Have a great week. Stay safe. Later.
Arrivederci.